Okay. I don't normally use voice in videos, but it's kind of hard to do a silent video and go over some of these things, so I'm going to this time. I am a client in this server at the moment. I'm hosting on another PC through Steam. It has two separate Steam accounts, and all my movements are replicated. All of is a stray component there. All my movements are replicated. All of my actions are replicated, and this is all by default with the VR character. I don't have to actually change anything or set anything up. I can pick up objects, I can move them, I can throw them, and the server handles it just fine. This VR character also has a relatively new feature. If you're trying to walk in the real world and clip through geometry, it'll block you. You can turn it on or off, but it's not bad to have it on. And it's useful to keep people from trying to cheat in your game world. There's a little bit of camera clipping because of this cylinder. It should be pushed forward a little bit in front of the camera, but it annoys me when I lean over to grip something because the cylinder can get in the way of physics simulating objects since it's my body. Which you can fix just by having it not collide with physics objects, but I like pushing things around on the ground, so I left it on for now. It works on any obstacle, so you can't walk through this because it's in your way. If you set the capsule height smaller, like you track the person's height every now and then and reset the capsule height to a smaller size, then you could have them crawl under it, but a default capsule height don't block by anything. It should still work up with step up. I think step up is a little buggy as a client right now. I have to work on that. It works just fine in single player, but it'll still work with the movement controls. Okay, now on to grips. I have 5 different grips currently in the plugin. Let's go back to default. Okay, interactive collision with physics. I figure these names probably need explanations. So interactive collision with physics spawns a physics constraint between the object you pick up in your hand when you pick something up using this. So when it collides with something, it turns off the late update so that it doesn't clip into the geometry. See here how it's very little clip, just a little bit from the rotation of my hand. If I had late updates on, it'd clip in like a good inch into that wall when I'm pushing it like this. Let's get that one down. It also means that you can pick things up and they look solid to each other when you're picking them up. Like it looks pretty good. Second pickup type I have is interactive collision with sweep. This one doesn't have any actual physics interaction with the environment. What it does is it moves the object along with your hand, and when it hits something, it does the standard engine sweep hit, which means it'll get stuck in the geometry until you pull it back. It's quicker, and it doesn't have some downsides that physics does, but physics is overall more enjoyable to use, so it's just here if you ever need it. Like it'll still interact with physics objects, but it'll get stuck on them. I know that was annoying some people. Third is interactive hybrid collision with sweep. This one does the move to the hand every frame until it collides with something, and then it turns into a physics constraint. I'm still debugging this one, as I have to handle some intersection problems, but it works for the most part pretty well. Next is sweep with physics. Sweep with physics doesn't actually collide and interact with the environment, but it does perform a sweep on every tick from its old location to its new location, which means you will get on hit events from it without using the physics on hit, but it also still interacts with simulating objects. So this would be a good grip to use for something like a sword, where you don't want it to be pulled out of your hands, and you want it to be rock solid to your hand, but you still want on-hit events with it. It'll still trigger on hit with people, which I don't know if I have a notifier. I don't right now. The last grip type is physics only. which the name might be a little misleading. This one is just moving to your hands with late update, but doesn't have any sweep, doesn't have any physics interaction with the general environment. It's acting like it's just attached and parented to your hand. And it'll still interact with physics items because it's got a collision mesh, but it won't interact with anything else. This is like standard attached to